welcome back to the final round, back nine of the 2024 European Open presented by Discmania. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. I am Ella Hansen.
I'm Madison Walker, and we're the two dogs bringing you the good stuff.
All the barking good stuff out here at the Beast in Nokia.
We're out
Finland.
on the course looking for treats.
All the time, honestly. I'm always looking for the free snacks. If I'm being honest.
So kind of a weird front nine so far. Silva, a little bit more hiccups than we saw yesterday, but mixing in birdies, staying under par. Eveliina, birdie free through the front nine. So close to putting together a good round. Kristin, Tattar really switching things over from yesterday, getting a ton of birdies. And Kaidi looking very solid on her first ever lead card at a major. Let's start it out with hole 10.
Hole 10, par 4, 755 feet, 230 meters. There's out of bounds lining this soccer field on the left and curving up as we go towards the basket. And it narrows up with this fence on the left and the stakes on the right. There are hay bales protecting the green once you get within about 25 meters, but another sloped fairway, another sloped green on the approach. Takes two really good distance shots to give yourself a chance at a birdie. This looks really good for Kristin.
Yeah, really attacking that OB line on the left side. A very confident shot, really giving herself a look at a potential eagle.
That looks pretty good from Silva, but it has to sit. Yeah, that's a good shot. It's not getting all the distance. I don't think she's going to have a chance for a birdie there, but solid shot.
I forget this is a par 4.
I was like,
in my notes it's par 5. I'm like playing it.
Yeah, I get that. That looks nice for Kaidi. And I think a lot of players are using that big tree on the right side of the fairway as an aiming point.
Yeah, surprising to see everyone a little bit more left here.
That looks really good for
That was
Eveliina.
crushed.
Absolutely crushed in front of the tree. And that's still behind where Kristin
Yeah, why did
is.
that? It just looked like it came out of her hand so fast. I bet it's like a 7-speed.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it's got to be a destroyer for sure.
Kaidi first, a blind shot around the corner at OB.
That's really solid. If it sits down, please don't roll out of bounds.
Don't do this.
Stop. Good job. That's a very committed shot. It can be really hard. You can't really see where the out of bounds is on the right. Fortunately and unfortunately, there are light posts there, so you can kind of get a sense of where the line is, but
sometimes they come into play. Silva a little bit on the short side there. She's going to have an awkward third shot to the green.
yeah, gonna be tucked up, I think, next to that fence.
Eveliina attacking here. Big hyzer.
That is so good. No.
Oh, man.
Wow. I mean, you can't really throw it any better. Just catching that last tree protection. Those trees are so much bigger than they were last year. I'm curious if they will still have the netting there for next year. That's so good. That's so good.
Wow. Did we see anybody get inside the circle yesterday yesterday for birdie? I feel like these are looking
one or two, but yeah, Silva's super awkward.
That is such a technical shot, and she made that.
Stop. No.
No. Oh, no.
Just like they put one more hay bale in and she's going to be safe. That is a brutal turn of events for Silva.
This hole yesterday, we watched Kristin slide out of bounds in that one gap in the fence. This fairway is so mean. I caught a light pole during my round. There's just so many little things here. Silva looking at a bogey at best here.
Right on line, just not quite enough height. Pretty big disappointment on this hole for her. Honestly, I would like to see them add maybe 10 to 15 more meters of hay bales there just because of the randomness of the tree coverings. I also saw somebody on my card today hit one of those and roll out of bounds, so
Agreed.
Kind of a bummer.
Yeah, if you hit those tree covers, it's almost impossible for it not to roll. Kristin looking very solid, kind of almost a tap-in birdie, the only one on our lead card.
That's crazy.
One of only 2 on the day. Eveliina almost just kind of holding on here. She's so close to getting birdies, but still not able to get one. And at this point in the round, it really does start to weigh on you.
Yeah, and this hole can be so challenging to get into circle 1, and I saw her miss a longer circle 1 putt on this one, but it's kind of a bummer.
Shout out to Cat Merch for getting that birdie as well. Kristin looking very strong, and at this point, moving into a tie for first.
Wow. I know Kristin is really good, and I knew she had a chance to win, but I wasn't expecting her to be tied for the lead
halfway
after 10.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Hole 11, 331 feet, 100 meters. This is one where you kind of have to make a decision. Most players, though, on our lead card just going for the green, not worried about that out-of-bounds pond at all. If you do land in the pond, though, you still have an open putt from at least circle 2. What you want to avoid here is going out of bounds early if you're throwing a big hyzer out over OB, or early left as well can be really difficult to recover from.
This looks really good. Might be a tiny bit early. Nope. Perfect. Skips to the edge just outside circle 1. That is kind of one of the I don't know what the right word is. That can happen a lot.
Most common landing areas.
Did you see how close that was to hitting that light pole? Yeah, I guess just the way that the ideal shot comes into the screen, it's pretty easy to land right by the basket and get a big skip.
This is one of those holes where if you're trying to go over that pond, you just kind of have to make yourself okay with the fact that you might land in the pond. It's not necessarily... It's not a wide open lane over that pond, I'll say.
No.
They did clear it out a lot from last year, from what I understand, but it's just not necessarily a guarantee. Silva! Did she just ramp the corner?
Over the pond. Wow. She's playing more of a low, little bit of a safer shot there, and wow.
Eveliina doesn't have a look at a putt here. She's able to throw a nice turnover shot to the bullseye. Not going to be able to recover the par. Kaidi with a similar look here. And a similar shot.
It's going to be Kaidi's first bogey of the round. This one kind of feels okay to bogey, honestly. Oh, sit down. That's all right.
Kristin gonna have to end the birdie streak at a turkey here, settling for a par on hole 11. Silva the only remaining look for birdie. And what a great bounce back from that double bogey, that brutal double bogey.
And suddenly she's back into the lead. Kristin's putting to stay tied for the lead. Wow, that is a very uncharacteristic miss for Kristin.
Yeah, look, she's looking over to the side like maybe there was some sort of distraction or something. There's a lot of spectators out here.
And this is kind of a tough hole because there's like paths on pretty much every side, so
you can't count on everybody to hold still and be quiet. Kind of part of playing at the Beast. Hole 11, there were 5 birdies, only 1 on our lead card.
So kind of a surprising 2-stroke swing there. Silva going from third back into first in one hole. It's looking like a battle down for the rest of this back nine. I'm excited
It's so
about
exciting,
it.
yeah.
Hole 12, par 4, 600 feet, 183 meters, out of bounds early on the left side, and a lot of low ceilings on this one. Kind of, like I said yesterday, a little undulating fairway, and it curves up to the left here. There is a hillside on the back side of the green that you can kind of play into, but there is also a hillside down to the left of the green that's only about 4 meters away from the basket. That can be super unpleasant if you go down there.
Silva, another early release. There is an out of bounds area over there.
This is gonna be like a rough hole for her.
Oh, a slip from Kristin. This tee pad has been a little slippery, especially during the practice days. They cleaned them up yesterday, but after a full day of play, look at that slide on the tee pad.
She got pretty far down there, regardless of the slip.
Wow, Kaidi is so good at that turnover angle.
She is.
It's easy with the low ceiling to accidentally cut roll one there.
That looks really good. Catching a do a little rail slide on the branch.
The trick shots only. I just could watch Eveliina throw all day. I'm glad that we get to.
This hole is so tough. Honestly, I feel like no matter where your tee shot is, it feels like you're scrambling. And if you're already out of bounds, only about 100 feet off the tee, it is really hard to play a hole that you're proud of.
Yeah, there's no way to save par without a throw in. So you're just staring bogey at best in the face with perfect play from that point forward.
And you can just see, like, the spotter squatting down to show the flag. Ceiling comes into play so much on this hole. And Silva catching another tree. She's throwing 5, still probably 3 to 350 feet away from the basket.
Eveliina, where she is up high on the right side of the fairway, it's so brutal to try to get under the low ceiling. She does a great job of navigating it, though. She will be on that steep hill to the left of the basket. We'll see how far she went down.
I feel like if she missed some of those low hanging branches, she's parked. And Silva getting down there. This is something I like. The low ceiling, but I think there are a few too many stray branches. I think I would like to see maybe a foot or two cleaned up before Worlds.
I wouldn't be surprised if this hole changes a little bit in some way. Plays is the most difficult hole today. It was, I believe, the second yesterday. 60% of the field taking a par, no birdies.
That's a nice shot from Kaidi from an awkward stance. Playing into that backboard.
Silva for double bogey. Still making putts.
Yeah.
But definitely gonna have to fight back from 2 doubles.
She's trying to throw that in. That was coming in with some pace. Kaidi for par. Well played for her. Par feels so good on this hole.
Only one person got to even circle 2 in regulation on hole 12. Not a lot of putting opportunities. So 3 pars on our lead card is very impressive.
Look at Evelina's face. Trying to throw that in for the birdie. Kristin, after that double from Silva, now she's back up tied for the lead with Eveliina. This is...
Hole 13, it's 187 meters, 614 feet. The tee shot really dictates how the rest of the hole is going to be played. I think a forehand is the safest shot, but a backhand is required to get the distance you need to potentially birdie. You have to get up at least to the top of the hill or crest it if you're going to get way around the corner and down to this basket perched precariously on a sloped green with a nice big guardian tree in the way. This one is a really tough birdie. You also feel fine with a par here, but is reachable by everyone in the field with 2 really great shots.
That looks good from Kristin. Just a little too much turn and
a really bad reaction on the ground.
Yeah, I think that is another example of just how much the slopes on the fairway on this course really affect the way your disc lands.
Catching that tree, more than likely Kaidi has dropped down into the boggy area. We have a little boardwalk just below this. Eveliina with a pretty nasty slide from her back foot.
Yeah, there is a little corner of OB on the right side.
It's, private property. Doesn't usually come into play.
That looks pretty good for Silva. Some weird reactions. This tee shot is really challenging because those branches that seem like they're above your head are actually like right at the same height as the tee. So you have to throw downhill off the tee and try to get some distance, even though you're throwing basically straight into the ground.
Yeah, Eveliina knows she's in a little bit of trouble here. Not even cresting the hill yet. She is one of the few people in the field that potentially could still reach the green from there. Kaidi has a great recovery shot, thankfully not in the boggy area. I watched Rachel Turton throw from ankle-deep water during our round 3.
That looks so good for Eveliina.
Oh, come on!
That was flashing chains. Wow.
Unbelievable. Kristin has rolled down into the shul on the left-hand side. She's just trying to poke out. She can still get up and down from there for par. It's a little bit more of a technical shot.
Oh, and we finally get to Silva's drive. Just a little bit of an early release, and we've seen that has been her problem, not just today, but earlier in the weekend as well.
Kristin flirting with the back wall and getting another weird reaction on the ground. She is potentially barely inside the circle. She might have an obstructed putt over there.
And this is like maybe one of the more simple approaches on, seems like at least on the course, but you have to come in with such touch around that guardian tree and also settle down in the circle.
So it's actually not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, it looks easy. It's not as easy.
There's just no trees besides the huge one. And this played as a tie for the 3rd most difficult hole. Not a lot of birdies happening here. Eveliina over the path. It's not out of bounds over there, but not an area that we see many players finding.
Kaidi for par. Oh. Just a little bit left side.
Any of Kaidi's mistakes today have been so narrow, so close.
Yes. That's good.
What a recovery from Kristin.
I love hearing Silver in the background. He is always Kristin's biggest supporter when she makes a big putt or throws a great shot.
A nice par for Silva as well. There was only one birdie on hole 13 by Anna Kristin.
Lefty hole? Seems like it.
Only one person got to circle 1 in regulation. Only 4 to circle 2. Whew, hole 13 is brutal.
It is. Eveliina getting a double bogey, dropping some more strokes. And Kristin just catching that cage. And now she's in first place. We are moving around on this leaderboard today.
This is the most amount of leaderboard changes that we've had this year, for sure. This is wild.
Hole 14, par 3, 394 feet, 120 meters. Slightly downhill, but really just a gap to hit. There is a lot of danger right. There is kind of a creek down there you can roll down. But if you don't turn your shot enough, there's a big wall of trees and it can be really challenging to get up and down if you don't make it past those.
We saw our lead card play this hole so well yesterday. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be inside the circle, but Kristin gives it the height to be very close.
That's a really good shot.
Of course, everyone is trying to get on the green here, but most people are just thinking about making sure you get through that initial gap that's way off the tee pad with a good angle. That is the most important part. Silva's angle works fine, narrowly missing those corner trees. She'll be outside circle 2.
Kaidi playing a little inside. Those trees, 2 big ones on the right, have some really gnarly branches poking out. And this is kind of another situation similar to the tee shot on 13 where the basket is actually lower than the tee and you kind of are throwing at those branches. You got to make sure you get lower than they are.
Eveliina with a little more turn on that disc than she anticipated, but thankfully it gets a little rebound out of the trees. Kaidi is going to be forced to just pitch out.
Oh, that's such a bummer, and that really is a brutal, brutal spot to be on this course.
The more I play this hole, the more I feel like it's not a hyzer flipping type of a hole. It's more of like a forced turn.
Yeah, you definitely don't want it to be finishing to the right. Having it get a little bit of turn out of the hand and then push straight and flex back, I think, is the ideal shot shape.
7 competitors got to circle 2 in regulation. Only 2 got to circle 1. Wow, only half the field even up on the green. That's crazy.
Eveliina got pretty lucky to kick out of that right side. Looks like Kristin just on the edge of the circle. Doesn't quite get the distance.
Kaidi, unfortunately, stacking a bogey here, but a nice putt.
Yeah, and that was a great scramble. She was in the woods. She didn't try to get too crazy and yeet something out of there. Just pitched out, pitched up, and took her bogey.
Everyone else on the card going to take pars. There was only one birdie today on hole 14. Eveliina getting the ones that no one else is getting today.
Sweet. Yeah, Kaidi looked like she had a solid round out here on the Beast.
From top competition to the new players. From supporting women to funding new courses. PDGA Europe is much more than competition. Visit pdga.com/join and grow the sport.
Wow, no movement after hole 14 for our leaderboard. Maybe there will be more on the next hole, though. Kristin still with the hot round at 4 under par.
Hole 15 is 476 feet, 145 meters. Change last year, where it is now a par 4 for the FPO field. Same basket, same tee pad as MPO. It's a very technical first shot if you're not going for it, with an out of bounds corner on the left hand side and a lot of really dense shrubbery on the right side that you really want to stay out of if you're trying to get a birdie. Most players' second shots are going across, obviously, to the green, but that OB on the right side can come into play so quickly if you're trying to throw a forehand or a turnover back in, especially if you're tangled up and trying to scramble from those woods on the right side. Kristin with the same problem she had yesterday, too far left and out of bounds.
Surprising, Kristin is not one to make the same mistake 2 rounds in a row often, and she was just barely out of bounds yesterday and even further out of bounds today.
What was the wind doing today on this hole?
It was a little bit more of a headwind right to left, so maybe she was just trying to throw it a little more downhill and caught some more wind than she was expecting.
Yeah, cater to the wind a little bit. This tee pad is extremely elevated. Any error on nose angle is highlighted so much.
Yeah, and this one is definitely drivable for some of the FPO fields, but it, like you said, really technical, downhill, nose angle, windy, challenging hole. Silva pretty far back, has a long approach, and that looks early. Does it get safe? Wow. Does not get the turn she wanted, but lucky to get through that tree. And Kristin is also way far back here. Looks like a pretty good shot. Getting up into circle 1.
Evelina's second shot, trying to just get across the OB and nestle something close to this elevated pin. That is really nose up and fades out a lot more than she wanted. She's going to have a little bit of a scary putt back towards the out of bounds.
Kind of surprising to see a couple of longer putts for birdie and one for par. This hole seems really simple. Like,
it's the 4th easiest hole today, but usually it's in, I think yesterday it was the easiest or second easiest.
Silva with a long putt for birdie. I feel like a lot of the time you just see people pitching up to the bottom of the hill and jump putting or just tossing it across. Eveliina, again, getting the height right, but pulling it a little bit right. Kristin doing a good job to save her par on this hole.
There were only 4 birdies on hole 15 today. Some nice long recovery putts for par from Silva and Kristin. Even though it's downhill 476 feet and it is within range, I just looked at the stats. The MPO, there was only 13 birdies. They play this as a par 3. So it's a very technical shot, and the wind today was something a little extra challenging.
Yeah, adds just that much more challenge to the beast when you have a hole like this that's not only hard, but also the first one out of the woods.
With the wind highlighted, let's do a quick chase card check-in with Missy Gannon, sitting in 5th place currently. She threw this shot perfectly yesterday. Wow. This is almost a carbon copy of it.
That is perfect. Just showing off that matching the hillside.
Her ankle control has been impeccable this week.
I'm just thinking about Missy throwing Big old driver. Nice flip up on that hole. It's so easy. You put it a degree too high and you are sailing it down the hill.
Or a degree the other way too is a left to right cross when she's out of bounds right. Wild. Hole 16 is 728 feet or 222 meters. On the tee shot, you have to make a decision. Do you want to go big and try to get around the corner to set yourself up to go across for birdie, or do you want to play a little more safe, keep it in bounds, pitch up, and just play this one for par? It is up to you. If you go out of bounds off the tee, there is a drop zone from about 320 feet. There is a second drop zone if you do not make it safely in the island. It is from about 40 feet, just over 10 meters. A downhill death putt to try to recover your bogey.
That's a great tee shot from Kaidi. Getting a nice skip over the gravel. You should have solid footing for her approach shot. I saw Kristin go up the middle and go out of bounds left yesterday, so she is making the adjustment, taking the wide right side gap, pushing it a little bit long, but inbounds, that's the most important thing. I'm sure we will see her attacking the green from there.
It's a little tricky when you're close to the out of bounds line, making sure that your feet are in bounds on a distant shot. It also was a little boggy over there today on the deep side of the fairway. Could make for some interesting footing.
This looks great for Silva as well.
She's so good at throwing those perfectly dead straight shots that just do exactly like what a flight chart does.
Yeah.
Just every time. Perfect.
And that is kind of, I think, important for Silva. We saw her lay up yesterday. I think she's in a much better position. And I think we see her, we're going to see her have to go for the green on this one, I think.
Yeah, I think with everyone being in the hunt here, Kristin's going to set the tone for the hole. She is definitely lining up a distant shot.
That looks good. Nice pushing height. Get over that wall. Yeah.
That is perfect.
Wow.
And what, that's every bit of 340?
Yeah, maybe more.
Maybe
350,
more.
360. Perfectly thrown from Kristin. Really can't do it any better.
Eveliina has to run kind of downhill from the path. Some weird footing. Oh, my goodness. Just
That's-
inches short.
That looked so good all the way.
Those hay bales are inside the circle from the basket. I watched it happen so many times today.
And this green is so tough because if you land it high on the hillside, you really,
Are you 2 in a row?
really have a high likelihood of skipping up and out of bounds to the left.
And the out of bounds line on the top side of the green is before it flattens out. It's a very mean out of bounds line.
It's not generous.
No, there's more grass up there where you can land, but it is still out of bounds.
So Silva trying to match Kristin. That looks good if it has the distance. Yeah.
I mean, they're coming in a foot and a half above the hay bales to be a perfect shot.
Yeah, you really have to throw with such precision to land on the green and especially in the bullseye. Kaidi looking like she's running this, but
Yeah, she was.
her mind said something different than her body.
Eveliina ran this one yesterday.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, and that's just adding insult to injury for Eveliina. A really, really tough round today. And
They have PDGA Marshall there helping with the ruling on whether this call is inbounds or out.
I believe it is the inside of the hay bale that is the line. So that is going to be out of bounds. And no. she misses the putt. Oh my gosh.
Kaidi rescuing a bogey. And this, you can see why these last 3 holes are an absolute gauntlet of a finishing series. All 3 in a row are able to get a bogey or a double bogey. Silva and Kristin, though, both managing birdies.
Wow.
2 of only 5 on the day today on hole 16, the 3rd most difficult hole of the day.
Very impressive birdies on that hole.
Oh, my heart is breaking for Eveliina.
And we're going to check in with Missy Gannon on the chase card. Hole 18. Throwing a nice flex turnover shot here. Right to the middle of the fairway. That's a perfect drive on 18.
Such a scary shot, and she made it look so easy. Way far down there, going all the way up the hill to the bubble of safe.
Great execution there, too. Just playing it high over that right side out of bounds line. And just a nice little jump putt into the bullseye. She is parked for birdie. Great finish to her round.
Yeah, birdie, birdie. No complaints there.
No complaints indeed. So unfortunate round for Eveliina. She drops down. She's now 6 strokes back of the lead with 2 holes to go. Effectively completely out of the race.
Still unable to find a birdie on the round today.
Really, really tough. Hole 17 is a par 3, 361, 110 meters. Out of bounds left, out of bounds right. Yet another sloping fairway, sloping green situation. There are a lot of different plays on this one. You can throw kind of a mid up flat and high to the right and have it settle in. You can throw a driver that same way as well. And Kristin is going to throw this forehand. We haven't really seen her throw it well yet, but that looks a lot better. Maybe a little on the safe side.
Yeah, this hole is really difficult to access with a forehand, even if you have big distance. 361, and you have to kind of go over some of those trees on the left-hand side. It's just a little out of the distance range for a lot of the forehand throwers in FPO without being silly aggressive.
Silva has an opportunity here. And she threw this really well yesterday, but just a little bit too much turn, a little too low. She needs just that degree of more height to get into the circle. That looks nice for Kaidi. Getting a good amount of turn. Just not quite enough juice to get herself a close putt.
Only 5 people were able to find circle 1 in regulation on hole 17. Such a technical shot. Ooh, this looks great from Eveliina.
Also maybe just a little bit low.
Yeah, doesn't quite get the finish.
Oh, and you can just see disappointment in Eveliina's face. So Silva laying it up. I'm assuming Kristin's going to be laying it up too.
Yeah, this is not the zone you run putts from.
No. Especially not with 1-stroke lead heading into the last hole of a major.
There were 3 birdies on this hole today. We watched Missy Gannon birdie it on chase card. Cat Merch and Henna Bloomers were the other 2 birdies. Henna from circle 1. No, sorry, Henna from Bullseye parked it.
She bullseyed the crap out of it.
As they say. A round of pars from our lead card. You're not too mad about that on hole 17. Coming down the stretch, this is one that you're just kind of holding on for.
And you can see the gallery in the background moving over to hole 18, getting ready to watch what is going to be a pretty dramatic finish to this major. 1 hole to go. Kristin Tattar has a 1-stroke lead over Silva Saarinen. And Kristin shooting the hot round. She shot 8 over par yesterday. Now at 5 under on the round.
Hole 18, it's 213 meters. We just watched Missy Gannon fillet this, taking a birdie to finish her round and slide up into a 3rd place positioning so far. Most players are going to just chip a sidearm into that first gap. Their second shot will be somewhere halfway up the hill here. 3rd shot up to the green. You can't usually see the landing area, but you can see the elevated basket poking up. It's a very small green surrounded by out of bounds, and ideally you don't have a long putt there. It's all about how aggressive you want to be off the tee to dictate the rest of the hole. Birdie is for sure easier if you do like Missy. Kristin just needs to keep it in bounds here.
That looks good. Maybe a little high. Oh, and it checks up just in front of that OB line.
It's almost a carbon copy of her shot yesterday.
And now Silva has to match. Put this inbounds in a place to attack the green. Maybe not the green, but to attack, to score.
It's got a lot of turn.
Too much. Oh. And Silva OB short of that corner.
A lot can still happen here, but once you get your tee shot in bounds, it's fairly simple to play the rest of the hole fairly safely.
Let me see.
And right now, Silva, if she tries to extend and still birdie, it's so easy to go out of bounds.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of hero shot making ability on hole 18.
She definitely has to press. Oh, and Eveliina does not get enough turn.
Kaidi
Tough.
from way on the short side having to cross OB the entire way. This is a scary shot.
That looks good. Good height.
She's just wanting to error deep. That is the mistake to make.
That is the right area.
But still, you can see how hole 18 can really stack OB strokes. Silva trying to land in that same little strip of land. You're throwing right at out of bounds and over OB. It's really hard to land in this narrow area. Silva does a great job. She can still par from there.
Yeah. I think she's going to have to try to throw it in if she wants to give Kristin a run for her money.
Eveliina is hero shotting, and honestly, we love to see it.
Yeah. Sometimes when the round is just not going your way, you might as well yeet it.
Let's just finish this thing out with some fireworks. And what a heartbreaking day for Eveliina after such strong play, 2 rounds at the Monster and yesterday at the Beast. It's so hard to have the round she had today.
That looks great for Kristin. Maybe a little long. Oh, is that? Oh my gosh. Stays safe.
She is way up the hill. It's a fairly simple pitch up from there.
If that had gone out of bounds, Silva still had a chance to get a win there.
Oh no.
Oh man. This
Kaidi
green is so protected, or not protected, but tight with the out of bounds.
Kaidi has done a great job of really protecting her strokes today. Only single bogeys, which feels great at the Beast.
Silva going for it. That's a great run, just a little high. And she is looking a little dejected. She will have a putt for par. But it's looking like Kristin has this one in the bag. Yeah, just in jump putt range. She's going out of bounds. It's a little bit of a nervy putt, but playing up to the safe side. And she only needs a par. And you can see the gallery here. One of the coolest parts about this event is just how many fans are out watching, especially for this early morning FPO lead card.
Silva to save par, and that's so impressive after an early out of bounds stroke.
Mm-hmm.
What a great showing from Silva this weekend.
She's been really close up in there battling with Kristin the past couple tournaments. A lot of impressive stuff from the young Finn. Oh.
Kaidi a little rattled here at the end. She's been really smooth. This is an area where it's definitely difficult to keep your nerve. Look at all of these faces.
Disappointing day for Eveliina as well. Finishing it off with a bogey. Not a single birdie on the day after going into the final round.
But what a great warm-up for Worlds. I am so excited to see what Eveliina is going to do at the World Championships. Her sportsmanship, of course, is elite level.
Elite indeed. Speaking of elite, Kristin Tattar winning her second straight European Open, coming from behind. I believe this is the biggest come from behind win for an FPO player. Getting a hug from her daughter.
One of the great comebacks in PDGA major history. What does it feel like to hoist that trophy for your second time?
Oh my gosh, it has not settled in yet. I thought yesterday I had lost it, and I thought there's no way I can come back from this. But coming in today, I just told myself to focus on my game. I did it. I don't know, it's probably one of the most memorable wins I've ever had. To be honest, I don't even feel I played that bad yesterday. I just hit all the trees out there. Of course, it made me unhappy, and it made me doubt myself. Should I even be competing here? And all those crazy thoughts. Life presented me the perfect opportunity to be kind to myself, to still love myself, even though in my standards I was not succeeding at all. I used that opportunity to stay kind and loving and come back here and do my best, because I know I can play disc golf.
What does this title mean to you?
It means so much. I felt like my game finally was coming together. Yesterday's round makes this win taste a little bit sweeter.
Finland, one more time for your champion, Kristin Tattar.
Wow. If there could be an award for mental game, Kristin would also win all of those.
For real. I mean, if you're looking for an example for some mental game focus, Kristin is the best.
She is the best of the best. It's really unbelievable to listen to her talk, and in her second language, so clearly, so concisely, and so perfectly what we should all be thinking out on the disc golf course during competition. So impressive. It's hard not to be rooting for Kristin at all times.
Absolutely.
Of course, we are very sad to see Silva, Saarinen, and Eveliina Salonen not walk away with those victories. Missy Gannon sliding up into third place with really solid play on the course today. And that was a very exciting final round of the European Open.
It sure was.
And just a reminder, this is a warm-up for Worlds next year. This is where we are coming for the World Championships in, 11 months.
Yeah.
It's not very far away, folks. We're less than a year. So hope you enjoyed hanging out and watching the monster, the beast, and all of this beautiful disc golf in Finland. We are so excited to be here. I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Ella Hansen. Thanks, of course, to the Founders Club, and we'll see you on the next one.